You guys are good to go.
Oh, good. All right. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Deputy Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Certainly. Supervisor Moore.
Here.
Councilwoman McNamara.
Here.
Councilman Iacili.
Here.
Councilman Pell. Councilman Martell.
Here.
All right, thank you. So let's get started with a review of the draft agenda for our November 25th meeting. There's going to be 6 public hearings. Oh, well, yeah, 6 public hearings. The first is to consider the acquisition of 11 West Shore Drive in the hamlet of North Sea, New York, and to amend the CPF priority plan and the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property. The second public hearing is to consider the acquisition of 51 Beach Plum Road in the hamlet of Noyak, New York, and to amend the CPF priority plan and the CPF management plan and stewardship plan to include the property. The third public hearing is to consider the acquisition of 87 Shore Drive in the hamlet of North Sea, New York, and to amend the CPF priority plan and the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property. The fourth public hearing is to consider amending Town Code Chapter 312, Vehicles and Traffic, changing the speed limit on 3 roads, Big Fresh Pond Road, Lakeside Drive, and Parish Road in the Tuckahoe North Sea area. The fifth public hearing is to repeal Chapter 330, zoning, Article 5A, entitled Affordable Housing Overlay District, Section 29.1 and 29.11, and rename Article 5A to the Community Housing Fund Overlay District, and replace Sections 29.1 to 29.10 with updated standards in order to coordinate zoning procedures with the town board's process for community housing fund approvals. And the sixth public hearing is to consider amending Town Code Article 4, Multifamily Planned Residential Development District, MFPRD, as it relates to expiration of approvals. Okay, and there's one add-on to add to the,
Right?
all right, we'll just do it at the end. All right, let's get started with the resolutions then.
Resolution 2025-1385, co-sponsored with the entire board, authorize the acquisition of a historic preservation and conservation easement on property located 11 Walnut Avenue in the hamlet of East Quogue, and amend the community preservation project plan and CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property.
Did we get an update on that? Can we move forward?
I think so. I didn't hear anything otherwise.
Because I thought we were waiting for an update from the historic board about an addition that was ongoing.
We can ask Jackie.
Thank you.
Yeah, you should ask.
Yes,
Yeah, there was
there's
something about an
there's
addition.
Construction going on, so
Yeah.
I would table this.
Okay, I'll get confirmation
Yeah.
from Jackie and we can work to do that.
Jackie and Stephanie Davis.
Yeah.
But they were just gonna go do a site visit to make sure.
Kelly knows about it, yeah.
Town Board Resolution 51578, co-sponsored with Councilman Pell, authorize the purchase of shredding, destruction, recycling of confidential records.
Town Board Resolution ID number 51518 to authorize purchases of boiler breaching repair service and new construction from Commercial Instrumentation Services using the Suffolk County contract. Town Board Resolution ID number 51457, co-sponsored by Councilwoman McNamara, to authorize purchases of concrete, asphalt, and related site work improvements from Eastern Suffolk BOCES contracts.
Town Board Resolution 51486, authorized purchase of construction equipment and dredging service used by Suffolk County contract.
Town Board Resolution ID number 51505 to authorize purchases of General Motors, Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ford OEM repairs and parts from the Eastern Suffolk BOCES contract with T&T Baldwin Automotive, Inc. and DCO Motors Eagle C LLC doing business as Eagle Chevrolet of Riverhead. Town Board Resolution ID number 51510 to authorize purchases of motor vehicle oil, lubricants, and fluids using the Town of Huntington contracts.
Town Board Resolution ID 51566, co-sponsored with Councilman Martell. Authorize supervisor to sign contract extension for maintenance, installation, repair of water mains with Roadwork Construction Corp.
Town Board Resolution 51544, authorize supervisor to sign contract extend with AAA Long Island Waste Oil, Inc. in removal and recycle disposal of waste oil. Town Board Resolution 51545, authorize service to sign a contract, authorize supervisor to sign a contract extend with Ecotech Management LLC for electronic waste removal and recycle disposal program.
Town Board Resolution ID number 51546 to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract extension with S&M Tire Recycling, Inc. for scrap tire recycling services.
Town Board Resolution 51553, authorize supervisor to sign contract extend with Turner Cesspool Service, Inc. as a primary vendor and Clear River Environment Service Corp. as a secondary vendor on-call service for transportation of landfill leach.
Town Board Resolution ID number 51597 to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Universal Drilling and Boring Services, Inc. to conduct various soil test reports and force the Southampton Youth Services basketball and tennis courts. Town Board Resolution ID number 51595, co-sponsored by Council Members McNamara and Pell, to authorize the supervisor to execute a 2026 fire prevention contract with Village of Quogue for the North End Quogue Fire Protection District. Town Board Resolution ID number 51594, co-sponsored by Council Members Pell and Iacilli, to authorize the supervisor to execute the 2026 fire prevention contracts with the Village of Sag Harbor for the Bay Point and Noyak Fire Protection Districts.
Town Board Resolution ID 51564, co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara, authorize the supervisor to execute a contract extension with AC Schultes Incorporated for Quail Run test boring.
Town Board Resolution 51554, authorize the supervisor to execute a contract extension with L.K. McLean, Associate Engineer, Survey DPC for on-call engineer service to be provided to the Highway Department for various townwide projects. Town Board Resolution 51558, authorize the supervisor to execute a no-cost contract extended with L.K. McLean, Associate Engineer and Survey DPC for engineering design and permit service for shoreline stabilization at North Sea Road in Southampton.
Town Board Resolution ID number 51541 to authorize the supervisor to execute a contract extension with Riverhead Building Supply and Fowler's Garden Center for fencing and stakes. Town Board Resolution ID number 51542 to authorize the supervisor to execute a contract extension. What? Looks like the same thing. With Riverhead Building Supply, RFC Residential Fences Corp., and Fowler's Garden Center for fencing and stakes. Town Board Resolution ID number 51587 to authorize the supervisor to execute a no-cost extension of term of contract for the Riverside Sewer District Professional Service Agreement with Leonard Marchese, MBA, CPA, until April 2026.
Town Board Resolution ID 51590, co-sponsored with Supervisor Moore, Authorize the supervisor to execute a preventative maintenance agreement with Best Climate Control for maintenance service on the air conditioning and/or heating equipment at Southampton Town Police Department main building located at 110 Old Riverhead Road, Hampton Bays.
Town Board Resolution ID 51592, co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara, authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with Young Associates to provide land surveying services for the properties located at 1221, 1181, and 1143 North Sea Road, Southampton.
Town Board Resolution ID 51563, co-sponsored with Councilman Martell, authorize the supervisor to sign a contract extension for liquid caustic soda with Unibar USA Incorporated.
Town Board, Town Board Resolution 51543, authorize supervisor to sign contract to extend with Waste Zero Inc. for the supply and distribution of garbage bags. Town Board Resolution 51589, co-sponsored with Councilman Azar, authorize supervisor to sign a sole source contract with General Code LLC for service for the town clerk's office.
Town Board Resolution ID 51591, authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with Pi Barker Fire and Safety LLC doing business as Briscoe Protective for 1976 North Sea Road, Conscience Point Marina.
Town Board Resolution ID 51600, co-sponsored with Councilman Martell, award and authorize supervisor to sign contract with Ken Rao Inc. for Bay Drive Water Quality Improvement Phase 2.
Town Board Resolution ID 51577, award and authorize supervisor to sign contract with Norco Construction, Inc. for Poxabog Golf Center building renovations.
Town Board Resolution ID number 51579, co-sponsored by Councilwoman McNamara, to award and authorize the purchase of one 2025 Ford Expedition from Hempstead Lincoln Mercury Motors Corp. Using the New York State OGS contract for vehicles Class 1 through 8 statewide. Town Board Resolution ID number 51517, to declare items surplus and authorize the disposal of equipment.
Town Board Resolution 51593, recall amend Town Board Resolution number 2023-479, authorize the supervisor to sign agreement and award Community Preservation Fund of 20% Water Quality Improvement Project Fund to the Board of Trustees of Commonwealth of Town of Southampton.
Town Board Resolution ID number 51555, to recall and rescind Town Board Resolution number 2025-1151, authorize the supervisor to enter into a contract amendment with Hayduck Engineering LLC for municipal engineering consulting services. Town Board Resolution ID number 51556, to recall and rescind Town Board Resolution number 2025-1152, to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Martin Petrovic, Professor of Horticulture, to review the 2025 operation and environmental impact of the Bridge Golf Course. And Town Board Resolution ID number 51557, to recall and rescind Town Board Resolution number 2025-1153, authorizing the supervisor to enter into an agreement with WSP USA, formerly Leggett, Brashears and Graham, Inc., in connection with the 2025 groundwater monitoring and sampling services for the Bridge Golf Course. Town Board Resolution ID number 51605, to amend the 2025 budget for various departments.
Town Board Resolution ID 51574, co-sponsored with Councilman Martell, 2025 notice to proposers for 93 Butter Lane, Bridgehampton farming proposal. Town Board Resolution ID 51572, co-sponsored with Councilman Martell, 2025 notice to proposers for 834 Town Line Road, Sagaponic farming proposal.
Town Board Resolution ID number 51575, to authorize the town to reimburse New York Municipal Insurance Reciprocal the deductible for liability and property damage claims.
Town Board Resolution 51606, this is a resolution of adoption amending Town Code Chapter 312, Article 22, Section 312-97, speed limits on 3 roads, Big Fresh Pond, Lakeside Drive, and Parish Road in Tuckahoe North Sea area.
Town Board Resolution ID 51565, co-sponsored with Councilman Iacilli. Authorization of cost reimbursement waiver for the East Quogue Fire Department Holiday on Main event on December 6, 2025, from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. Town Board Resolution ID 51516, authorize waiver of Parks and Recreation Facility use fee for the 2025 Run with the Torch in honor of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Town Board Resolution ID 51584, co-sponsored with Councilman Iacilli, cost reimbursement waiver for St. Rosalie's Church Our Lady of Guadalupe Run on December 12, 2025, from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. Town Board Resolution ID 51568, co-sponsored with Councilman Iacilli, cost reimbursement waiver for the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary Church Run with the Torch in honor of Our Lady of Guadalupe on December 12, 2025, from 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Town Board Resolution ID number 51559 to appoint Andrew Smith to Senior Park Attendant in the Parks Department. Town Board Resolution ID number 51569 to appoint Christina Dunning to Senior Office Assistant position in Land Management.
Town Board Resolution 51534, recall and amend Resolution 2025-1025, authorizing the sole assessor to attend the New York State Assessors Fall Conference. Town Board Resolution 51596, notice of public hearing to amend Town Code Chapter 123, Article 2, Sections 123-10 and 123-11, effective period of building permits. This has to do with the construction noise that we had a work session on.
Town Board Resolution 51598, notice to public hearing to demolish the old safety building located at the Jackson Avenue complex in Hampton Bays, which is way overdue.
Again? We had,
We had to
Deborah.
find out, we needed the deed before we tear it down, because the town has to follow their own rules.
Who'd have thought?
Yes.
yeah, and I guess we need a public hearing to demolish a town building. We didn't do that yet.
Yeah, we didn't know that either.
Town Board Resolution ID number 51515, co-sponsored by council members Iacilli and Martell, to authorize the sale of development rights from Community Housing Opportunity Development Right Bank. I don't remember it. Do we remember this one? Oh, it is Kara. Maybe she can say something. Kara, we were just looking at this, the sale of development right from the Community Housing Opportunity Development Right Bank for 36 Cedar Lane. I'm having trouble remembering that one.
From land management?
Yeah, that's David. That's Dave.
That's the old Conklin, that was years ago. with the-
Conklin.
That's a Dave thing,
Well,
right?
the
But it says it's appropriate for
development right bank
affordable
was-
housing.
The bank was, development rights were acquired on that transaction, the Conklin transaction, which was at least 10 years ago. But is this, and they're selling it for somebody? They're selling it for somebody, yeah, so they had appraisal of what those development rights were valued at. So people buy them from us now to use for the land, usually for like extra density, help with the density.
So she's doing to construct a carriage house on her property.
Okay,
This came from planning.
do that as well.
I just thought, because it's a community housing opportunity, I thought it was her. Oh, okay. And the add-on. One add-on. Town Board Resolution ID number 51609 to appoint a police officer, Spanish-speaking, Alonso Redondo, to the academy.
Kim, could you add me to that, please?
Can you add me to, please, Kim?
Just don't know what this one is. All right. Well, that's that. That brings us to our next section, which is the Community Housing Fund Overlay District. Oh, there you are, and we have several people here to help us today. Why don't you come on up? Come on up.
Did you want to come up, Curtis?
Janice Shear, Kara Back, Claire Shea,
Hello, everyone.
and Curtis Highsmith, of course. You're not coming up, Curtis?
grab a chair.
Happy birthday, Supervisor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Hey. How you doing, Cruz?
Who bought the cake?
Bagels instead.
Okay.
Everyone has the proposed code, right? Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Janice Shearer, Town Planning and Development Administrator. As you said, I'm joined by our Housing Director, our Assistant Planning Director, and our Housing Authority Executive Director.
Yes.
So today we're talking about a draft floating zone district. So we've had our tutorials on these different zones. Floating zone exists in the abstract until you need it, and then you take it off the shelf and apply it. So it doesn't go anywhere until you put it there, but it exists in potential, let's say, and it's there in our code for the time that you may need it. And so that's what this is. We have an affordable housing overlay district already. And the idea here would be to repeal all that because it's from like 1989 and it really isn't germane to today's needs, and replace it with the Community Housing Fund Overlay District in those sections, and we can go through them one by one. And the idea would be that this code is really just a tool for you to be able to use when you're considering applying the Community Housing Fund monies, and then saying, well, instead of going, well, the zoning doesn't work because we need a rear yard setback and now they gotta go to the ZBA or something, you would just say, here's the development plan, the community, let's say it supports it in this instance, this example, and then you would say, here's the plan, here's the funding, here's everything all in one-stop shopping, so that it doesn't prolong it, so you feel good about the money you're spending and that you're applying what you want to have happen there at the time.
Yeah, because this zone can only be used in connection with the Community Housing Fund. So it's only after somebody has come to the Community Housing Advisory Board, made a proposal, that they've kind of looked at it, that this zone would then be, enable you to kind of land it where this potential project is.
So Kara, we're using this for our own projects, for housing authority projects, and then it could also be a private developer, because we've seen when we want to keep them small to this type of scale, it's really not feasible for them to do without community housing fund money. So this would allow them, it's given them the mechanism to do those smaller scale projects that we would like to see as a board.
Exactly, because this zone is limited to a maximum of 35 units. So this is for smaller projects in connection with that, as you mentioned, the community housing fund.
So
money.
not just town projects, but other developers, but only if they're qualifying for the Community Housing Fund money?
Correct.
Now, is that just a partial of what they're qualifying for CHF? If they're just receiving, for instance, 20% of their units are going to be CHF funded, does that still account for the AHOD?
So, yeah, so that would be then something for you guys to consider, right? As part of the overall project themselves, how much CHF money is going to be allocated. This must be for affordable housing. Are these developers going to be looking into other funding, as well, state, county funding? All of that is kind of looked at in connection with the CHF application. Where are they getting the money to do this project? How is this project going to get over the finish line?
Right, so the beginning of it is a preliminary review, like Kara was saying. It goes to the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board, of complete application describing their financial capability to achieve such a project and what the ask is.
It may just be helping buy land. It may be helping finance a rehabilitation of a structure. We don't know what someone's gonna ask for. Then,
But some developer that comes in and wants to develop a
Flashing at me.
property and they have to have 20% affordable units per the code, or is it 10? It's 20,
That's
right?
not-
That wouldn't qualify, just because they're following the code and including the affordable units.
So that, what I think you're speaking about is the Long Island Workforce Housing Law, right? Which requires a developer who is going to develop 5 or more units within the town, 10% of those units must be affordable.
And that's
That's
not this.
required by law, right? So CHF money has not been used to fund those kind of projects because they are already getting a density increase in exchange, for building that affordable unit.
but this code starts out by saying, you're using this in the case where other provisions do not apply. So you're not using it for the 20% of MF 44. It's not combinable. So this is just CHF, and it could be 100% affordable, and that's what we want it to be, right? Like you're using community housing fund money for workforce housing, and that's what you're reviewing here. Does that make sense? Okay. So you wanna go through the provisions?
Yes, please.
Okay, so it starts with the preliminary review, and that means that like we said, it goes to the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board, and they'll review it and make a recommendation if it should be a work session. Then we do the same process that you already know about, which is elect to consider, you're looking at it, deciding whether or not this is appropriate in the first instance. In that work session, we'll invite like the CAC or civic leader to come in, so you have some input there up front at the work session. They'll be able to speak to the board at that work session.
Yeah, that's only their opinion,
I'm sorry?
the CAC leader.
Yes. It's a CAC or civic, in the case if it's a civic and they,
Just their opinion.
it's their, hopefully they brought it to their group and came back and said, we
These are
like it, we don't
questions
like it,
we
we have
have.
the questions, we're worried about this or that, and so they're telling you, so you can know this in the beginning. And then after the work session, the same thing, it's the same, because it's a floating zone, so it's gotta be landed just like a zone change. So it is a zone change, it's just that it's kind of condensing the process in a way that makes it easier, but you still have sort of checkpoints to make sure that this is appropriate.
I just want to make mention, though, this provision here on the CAC and Civic is just allowing them to speak before the board. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily contributing to the development of the project.
So in other words, they would be sitting in the audience, we would be having a work session, and toward the end,
No, I
you'd
know.
say,
I just want to clarify that, I just want to clarify that that's the process in which it's,
Yeah, it's really for
The reason why we-
transparency.
The reason why we ask that is because some of the committees, they have one person who's very outspoken, and they don't go back to their people, and they kind of speak for themselves. And it could be good or bad for that project.
Well, it just says, you're gonna give them advance notice,
Yeah.
you're gonna say, hey, we're having a work session next month.
Yeah.
And they'll be given, if they come, they'll be given an opportunity to come address you at the podium.
This is just like when we asked Curtis to go to the Hampton Bay Civic with the Easterner project.
Yep, exactly what I was
Yeah,
just gonna
but,
say.
but when
is-
we're here in this
Yeah.
room, someone then could come and say, oh yeah, they came to our meeting last month and we talked
I would
about
hope any
this.
developer is canvassing the community and
Yeah.
seeing.
Yeah.
But we should have proof that that project went before their board.
Yeah, under this law, my office is responsible for notifying.
It says shall
you know,
provide
the,
advance notice of the work session date to the civic.
And I would
CAC.
encourage, if it's a project with, the housing authority or with any other developer, is to make an appointment to meet with that group, explain the project, explain what they're gonna do ahead of time, so that it is open and transparent, and everybody knows what is going on, and so there are no surprises,
Right,
you know?
Or it could be they have a pending meeting coming up and they're having this work session and the person.
I just don't want to get, I think it's important that we emphasize that there's no false projection here of authority, exactly. Like, I just, I think it's important that there's transparency. I think that's a really important emphasis here, to let people know they're going to get notice, but also this false sense of authority, I think, is what we're trying
Well,
to.
it's just advance notice of the pending work session.
Yeah.
So there's nothing saying they can't, you just mentioned like, they have to have that meeting or something with the civic before they come to you. You should be the first sort of stop on, like they,
We have to make sure before
but
they.
make sure then
Yeah.
that they're going to attend a meeting with the larger constituency there or
Before the
something.
CEC person comes to make their opinion on, they should have,
Or maybe they're hearing it for the first time along with you, and then
Yeah.
they take it back to their group,
That's
and then,
fine.
let's say Curtis or someone comes to that group and presents and asks questions.
It's fine to
So-
require notice to the civics, but you can't require that they respond.
No, we
That-
just say
that's the important thing.
provide,
Yeah, yeah.
and we can change this
Yeah.
if you don't want that, but we
No,
say,
that's fine. I think
provide
the
advance
language is fine.
notice and give them an opportunity to speak at your work session.
I like when you all, like Kara, Janice, Curtis, you all go to the community, yourselves, you go to the CACs, you go to the civic meetings, you explain the projects, and people have the opportunity to ask you questions. I think those kinds of engagements are very, very useful. Have we allowed for work sessions to be a place where community groups can speak at? Because typically.
They're supposed to be
this works-
public work sessions where you can allow someone to come in, and in the years I've been here, it's gone both ways. Sometimes they come and speak, sometimes they don't.
Okay.
It's not a public hearing.
Right, it's
just a work
generally not for
session.
input, but
And
it's-
so,
Had
like,
informal meetings,
Yeah.
which were public notice, giving people in the community the opportunity to come in and speak, but it wasn't on the record. So
Yeah,
this is-
yeah.
This is more for like a CAC meeting or a civic meeting
sometimes we
at their
get-
location.
No, this
that-
is,
Well,
they
some-
have advance notice of the work session, they can come into the work session,
Yeah, and
and they
listen.
can speak, and I think it's important for the board to potentially hear from, a civic or a CAC president to come and tell us how, how it was, because we're not all gonna attend those meetings, so to hear for the entire board to hear directly from a representative of that group as to how it was perceived and what feedback, I want that at a work session before I would schedule a public hearing, because it gives you a time to adjust and make
Yeah, and
changes.
to that end, we've had projects that we have received input from the local CACs and community organizations that have gotten better. We've developed them,
sure,
Easterner, I think, is one of those, where we've
Even
heard,
North
we've
Sea
heard.
Council, where there was probably 6 or 7 different renditions of what we're gonna do. It went from a 6-lot subdivision to what we're proposing now. So it was, you saw that phase, and I think they appreciate the fact that we listened. We listened and we came to a happy compromise, and it made for a better project.
Honestly, I think people are more supportive of things that they feel like they were a part of than coming and hearing there's a public hearing of a zone change in your hamlet that you knew nothing about. Then their backs are up and they're coming in here and they're upset with us, and I love the process of having this out to them first and letting them kind of digest it.
This is at the
and come
elect to
in.
consider stage?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just don't have, you can't require, and, because I litigated this case once before, a similar situation where a town code provided that the application would not move forward unless they had the response from the civic association, and that we can't do,
This is
which is
just-
not, you don't say that here.
just say
so-
we're giving them
Yeah,
notice.
that's
And I
fine.
don't even know that you're saying they have to go to them first. I always say the board should be the first place you go to, and then you go away now and go find out what the community thinks of this. That's usually what happens. So, they could go in first.
Yeah.
But we're not saying they have to. We're just
Right,
saying that
exactly.
person
Yeah.
can come in the audience and hear about it, to take back to their group. And if they want to say something to you at the podium, they shall be given that opportunity. If you want any of those words or any of that to change, that's totally fine. by
Yeah, we
us.
just encourage it. But, I think that it has been helpful in the past when we have sat down, we've talked to some of these community groups. Both Curtis and I have attended them in the past. And the input and the feedback that we got back has made these projects that we had both been working on, I think, better.
Yeah,
And
well,
it
I
was-
don't think anyone's disputing that it's great to, communicate with the,
It's not the.
the civics and the CACs, and when you go to them and you lay it all out, the only question is, do we want to have a work session opportunity also to, we're hearing it for the first time, and then so is that person, and then they're going to
Right.
get up and speak, and we don't usually have people speak at the work sessions, but, it's in here, and,
Or we could just say, just provide advance notice, period.
I like giving them the opportunity to speak.
You know, you can always do that, whether or not the
Just
law
people
says
understand
to.
that it's a very preliminary stage. Sometimes when we're at that elect to consider, I've seen people think that the board is ready to make a decision, and we're at that stage. That's the very, very beginning. You know, people have to understand that. It's not even an application, a full application hasn't even been made yet. So that's,
You could end this with given an opportunity to comment, right? So then then it's really up to the board whether they want to take that comment and say, okay, they can speak at the meeting, or they can submit a written comment, or however you want it. If we change it from, you know, and a representative shall be given an opportunity to comment and take out to speak at the board meeting, then it's up to you. This board, they make the decision as to how they want to receive that feedback, if any.
Information, yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's up to you. So then, of course, you would then elect to consider. And then once that happens, if you did, or if you don't elect to consider, then it's just DOA. That's the end of that. But it gives somebody some certainty, and it's a decent process to say that. So then, you know, it just kind of, the next page, bottom of page 3 and into page 4 is just sort of the information you're looking for. You know, the analysis of the site's relationship, where is it situated, what's the neighborhood like, you know, that sort of thing. The suitability, you know, where is it related to, you know, schools, shopping, hospital, like where are we? Where are we talking about? The range of hot.
Sorry, Jess, and one of the things that the CHF Advisory Board is required to consider and give priority to are projects that are close to hamlet centers, that are close to, you know, transportation, public transportation.
So will the advisory, if this goes through, will the advisory committee be looking at this code to make decisions as well? Is that something that they will become familiar with to understand if CHF funding, well, is that something that you'll?
So I did review this with the advisory board at our meeting yesterday afternoon.
How'd that go?
Very well. They will be sending a letter of support into you all to get, you know, before the public hearing.
Do the public get to speak at the advisory board?
Yes, they certainly can. We do have, it's an open meeting, so anybody can attend. They do go into executive session when they're discussing, you know, particular projects that they are, you know, considering. But yeah, it's an open meeting. The public can speak. We do have developers come in and present projects to them so that they know what the developer wants to do, you know.
So in the work session, they can either speak or or submit a comment.
Yeah, so this law does require that a report be sent to you after they've looked at the proposal and the project. Yep.
So, yeah, so then, you know, after the, you know, sort of context that the proposal is in and talking about those things, number 4 says a written statement of intended ownership. So that means, like, is it offered for sale or rental? What is the rental and sales price targeted? You know, what's the income eligibility? Because we're always looking for a diversified range of how, you know, we don't want it all at 120% and you don't want it all at lower incomes either. We want a nice range of incomes so that it's a
Rental and for sale and
Rental and
things,
for
yeah.
sale.
And we don't want it all focused in one area of the township, you know, that, again, the CHF, you know, law requires that it be diversified throughout the township, so.
And then just if they're common fees, so someone comes in and goes, I'm gonna create the, you know, this great condo plan and it's gonna be amazing, and then, you know, the oversight was, well, wait a minute, it's another $1,000 for some kind of common fee, you know, you wanna know that now before you.
I guess you can't put a cap on the common fee at all. Because that's some of the problems in some of these projects where the people can't afford to buy the condo. They can afford to buy, but they can't afford to make the mortgage payment and pay
Maintenance fees, you mean?
maintenance.
Well, that's
That's up
market.
to them.
So you get into a lot more oversight and regulations when you do
Yeah.
affordable, especially with the funding. They always, so as part of the application process, because most of this is gonna be mixed funding, it's gonna be some state and county funding, they look at your 10-year pro forma. And so whatever your fees are, in conjunction with your rent, monthly rent, has to still remain affordable.
Yeah.
I think this was an issue like in Watermill because it's a market rate.
That was
There's a
market rate.
pool, there's amenities that you wouldn't generally have in an affordable.
And so that was a project that wasn't done with CHF funds.
That was the Long Island Workforce
That was-
Housing.
yeah,
So it was
exactly.
their responsibility to build those extra units and put them in the lottery. So it's really a little bit different, but we figured like, let's just cover all our bases and know what that is.
Could it take
for-
that money, instead of taking those units, take the money, what the units is worth, and put it in the housing fund and build it somewhere else where the people could actually afford to have them?
Yeah, so under the Long Island Workforce Housing Law, there are 3 different options for when a developer comes in and presents a project to the planning board. And the planning board can decide on how they want, which option they want to go. They can require that the developer build the units and sell them at an affordable rate. They can require the developer to deposit a certain sum of money into the housing fund so that it could be used to build affordable housing elsewhere. Or they can require the developer to build the affordable units on another lot, but within the same school district. And so it's done at the planning phase.
Yeah, so it's more affordable for the person or the family.
Yeah, I just would hope in the future they would really ask about those maintenance fees, because
It's killer.
So then the next thing is just
It
that
should be discounted.
the requirement would be, for the financial capability, again, that they have a construction budget, that they have the wherewithal and the capital to, it's not just, oh, I'm asking for this, but then, I need more or something. They have to be able to complete the project. The rest, page 4 and 5, are just sort of like, we need renderings and elevations and floor plans and time schedules and that kind of thing. Then, once we receive everything, let's say this is now in the formal setting, we would notice a public hearing. And in that public hearing, notice the intent to assume lead agency. And this is where we kind of condense a process that would normally take longer and pull it closer so that so that 30-day secret time frame is now pulled into the first notice.
And I think that
which is very-
this is an important part, right? Because I think the last time we were talking about this, we were discussing, well, what's the difference between what we're doing here and what the process, how it exists now when we're looking to do a zone change? So this is,
Right, so we're trying to like kind of condense the timeline so that, it's not like, well, we'll do a formal, then we'll assume lead agency, then we'll do then we'll coordinate, then we'll do it, in that time frame, you can shave off 30 days by doing a notice of intent to assume lead agency right up front, because you're undertaking it with money and it's your zoning action, so of course it would be appropriate that you would be lead agency. We do our referrals, those are the same standards as 330, 185, E through J. And the referral, when it goes to the planning board, it's already in chapter 216 that referrals related to affordable housing get priority placement on the planning agenda. So that just kind of restates that.
What's what's the definition of seniors? That's 65 and over?
55.
55.
I made it.
Me too, Bill.
So then we would have a public hearing, and it does say shall comply with the same notice as prescribed by law. We would just make that a little more clear, I think, what that means, but just in terms of its notice requirements.
sorry, which section are you at?
I'm sorry, I'm on the top of page 6, under A, 33029.5A.
The same notice as prescribed by law for the
Yeah, I
zoning.
think we could just clean that up so if someone doesn't know our notice requirements, maybe we restate them here. And then require the posting of the property, of course. And then, the action, obviously, would be that you can approve with modifications, or disapprove. And this further standards under 29.6A, 1 and 2, are talking about keeping like sort of an average of the median income, that keeps it so that it's not lopsided one way or another.
Right, so, really what we need, we're in a crisis here in this township with regard to workforce housing, right? Our workers can't afford to live here. So this law is created to help with that, right? So HUD defines workforce as between 60 and 80% of the area median income. We go above that just because of the location that we're in, right? We have to go up to 130%. So anywhere between 60 and 130% is considered workforce housing here in this area. And so that is really what the units that we are building for. Now, we do have an exception here for senior housing. If there's a developer that's coming in and building 100% senior housing, that income limitation would be exempt, or that would be exempt from the income limitation. I would also ask that you add to this 100% disabled housing. So if a developer's coming in and building 100% housing for the disabled, I would request that you add that be exempt from those income limitations.
Yeah, I agree.
And how would you do sequel to this?
Yeah, it's a
We're
good
gonna get to
question.
that.
Okay,
So,
Good question, Bill.
then, on the bottom, so then it's just, the normal, this is also following, by the way, the old AHOD, so we just kind of repealed it but filled it in the same way, so it's a little out of step where the development standards come later, but it just sort of outlines the process first and then gets into the meat of it. So 29.8 on the bottom of page 6 is saying, these are your criteria now. So it's not just, oh, willy-nilly, this is going anywhere. There are criteria and standards. And so on the top of page 7, it starts to talk about development location. So I neglected to put R20 and R40 in here. It starts at R60 because I think in my mind I was thinking the minimum lot size has to be 1.5 acres. But so that was an oversight. I would like to add R20 and R40 because those zones are actually closest to the hamlet centers in many cases. So
Yeah.
to leave them out would maybe preclude a lot of good development.
And we have a couple of developments right now that are kind of on hold, and they are located within the R20 and R40 zoning districts, and
Why wasn't it included in the beginning?
Because my mind was, I kept thinking
Size. You were
thinking zoning of-
60,000, and so I was like, oh, R60, and then when we looked at it, I was like, how did I?
Yeah, right.
So that is
Yeah.
on me. I am sorry that.
But it makes sense to include them.
It makes sense to
The lot
include
size
them.
is still gonna be,
The
minimum is gonna be
lot size
60,000.
still, even if it's R20, it still has to be
Right.
60,000.
Right.
I get
So
it, though. See how you get it.
I
yeah.
confused it. But this C starts talking about the minimum size. The lot has to be 1.5 acres at minimum. 60,000 square feet.
And obviously, you have to comply with health department regulations, density
Yeah, of
requirements,
course.
you know.
And that the lot has to be such shape, dimension, topography, and location that will allow for an appropriate and attractive development. So if somebody had some pizza pie shaped weird lot that didn't make any sense because it was a big slope, like that's obviously out. We're not, you know what I mean? So you have to look at the lot itself and be like, this is good. I can fit something. It has nice setbacks. I can buffer it. No one's going to be impacted. So you're always looking, so that's what that means. Like we really are looking at the dimension and size and shape first thing.
So there's properties in the R20 and R40 that exceed 1.5 acres.
Sure.
Yeah, we have 2 projects, I think, that are in the R20 right now, and the Easterner, I think, is in R40. Yeah, so, I mean, those are projects that we already have kind of pending, that have already been funded with CHF funds, that we need the zoning in place to get over the finish line, so.
Can I ask a question? So the section B, it's saying here that the location of CHF overlay shall be restricted to parcels within and we're talking about the different zoning and business districts outside of the CR 39 corridor. So is that saying that CR 39 corridor is out?
On the highway, I mean, beyond the highway,
Fronting.
not out, but
Well,
fronting on the highway.
It says extending east from the SUNY campus to the intersection of Flying Point
Well, just
Road.
from everything you've been saying, for the
Don't wanna be
traffic on
sensitive.
39.
Yeah.
But of course, you could say quadrant 1 or 3, or, we have a County 9 corridor plan
Yeah.
that describes the quadrants, if you
Yes.
want to be even
I
more
don't think we should
specific.
be increasing any density.
No, I know, I agree with that, but my thinking here is there's 2 things. Is this actually providing a significant prohibition of consideration? of this AHOD? Because to me, it just says that it shall be restricted to these within those particular zones outside, but is there some sort of way that there's a workaround there? I mean, it doesn't seem to be fully, like, the language isn't really strong. Number two is, what about the SUNY campus? I think there's ongoing
State
conversations about housing going there. Is that just a separate
State property.
conversation
So
because
this
it's
says,
state?
these districts, residential districts, which we would ask to add R20, R40,
Yep.
and business districts. So you could put affordable housing in business districts outside
Right.
of the corridor. The campus is not either. It is a university zoning.
Right.
It doesn't have any, in fact, they're not even subject to zoning.
Okay.
So they're not a residence district or a business district. They're not
So
either.
if,
State-owned property.
just, if one of the units along County Road 39 are pre-existing,
Well, this is new, so you're gonna land that zoning on it.
And this is only for this
yes,
code.
code, so if it's pre-existing, they want to change it to this, then would this?
It's
affect
up
them?
to you. I mean, I can make this more clear by saying,
Janice, I know we have an elect to consider.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be subject to this, because this is a different process.
Okay.
and business districts outside of the corridor. So we can say business districts,
Any properties that are fronting
except
on. County
those
Route
that
39.
front on,
Front on, yeah, maybe,
except those that front on.
Yeah.
Not
Does that make
outside
sense?
of,
yeah.
except,
Or maybe even something
Those
where access is obtained
that-
through or something.
Maybe not just front on, but
Access,
with
right?
access.
Access is the issue, yeah.
well,
Yeah,
you do
'cause-
have one pending before you that you have elected to consider, right?
That's not this,
on
that's
the
not
highway.
this code.
It's not this, that's MF
Right.
44.
But are they
Yeah.
getting CHF?
No, it's MF 44, it's totally different.
But you
So
may
don't
say,
limit
try
it
to apply,
front on,
Do you want it,
with the access.
you want it to
you
be
want to preclude the
access?
one that you've
Access.
already, well, I just want to
No,
be clear
that's
that,
just giving the money, where they're not asking for money.
but then you may say that same logic is a reason to not allow that. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to make sure that we're.
You still have the right to consider, right? You can-
Well, that, I'm saying you have one in front of you that we looked at from that old motel that is off the highway, but has access from the highway. It's a different zoning.
But it doesn't mean we couldn't still change the zone for them, even if we adopt
Okay,
this,
so
right?
I'm just
No,
making
doesn't
sure.
it? I'm asking. It doesn't, right?
It doesn't. That means they couldn't come in and ask for community housing fund money.
That's all that means.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody on the highway can't ask for this.
We can
for
work with the
money,
language,
because
maybe.
this goes
maybe-
with the money.
You might have a piece of property that fronts on
Has
39,
to.
but has access off a side road, which you would want to give the money to, so maybe we'll play with the language, I think.
Let's
Maybe it's
just
like,
maybe look at that a little
something
more
with
closely.
Properties
and
that
then,
have
of
ingress and
course-
egress onto CR 39, maybe something like that, yeah.
And as I said, I'm happy with making changes. I just wanted to get this on at least one evening meeting, and
Sure.
this is our last
Keep the
evening
record
meeting
open and we
Yeah.
can get this right, how you think it should
Important to
be.
do.
Okay, so, size, shape, dimension, topography, adequate setback screening, and can demonstrate compliance with design requirements. The primary objective is to achieve a harmonious relationship with the existing natural, physical contours, terrain of the property, and be at an appropriate scale in proximity to any neighboring buildings and adjoining land uses. Meaning, we're not just gonna wipe out a whole lot and take away every tree and build corner to corner and loom over anybody. This is gonna be like nestled in and done in a nice, way, which we very much know how to do. The density is D, shall not exceed 10 per acre, in any case, no more than 35.
And us too, I mean, with us applying funding to these projects, we have a bit more
Design
oversight than we would on,
Exactly.
a private development, because they're asking us for money. So if you want our money, you're gonna do things the way we want them done.
Yeah, it's important to know that when anybody comes
Very
in and
different,
gets CHF funding, that in connection with that funding, we have the developer sign a development agreement. And within that development agreement is his plan. His plan is attached to it, and he agrees that, upon receiving the funding, that he's going to build and do what that plan says. And the CHF Advisory Board has input as, they make their recommendations to you, and they can recommend things that they think would be good in connection with the project. And then you have the ability to change that as well, that becomes part of the developer's plan, that goes into the development agreement, and that's what the developer is supposed to build.
And this all happens before it even goes to the planning board.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So there's layer upon layer upon layer in this.
Well, if you're going to change the zone and give them money, then the agreement is sort of the contractual side on their end, right? That's really what that means.
Okay, did you do D yet?
I'm about to. The key, you know, just basically if there's one or more owner, you know, they all have to agree to file, you know, it's just a normal sort of owner's endorsement. And anything as far as covenants has to be all endorsed and agreed upon. So someone can't come back later and go, wait a minute, I never agreed to this, you know. Sometimes you have that when it's like families own a property, so we kind of put that in there so that everybody is agreeing to the conditions. The administration and control of occupancy.
Oh, wait, but the density, the
Oh,
D.
D, okay.
35, there could be any number of bedrooms in the units, and it's still 35?
So that would be at the design and development stage where you would make that determination, right? And the CHF advisory board would get to weigh in as well. So if there are, 35 three-bedroom units, that might not be something that fits in this,
Under 1 acre.
Exactly, well,
That can't be-
so
it has
1
to be 3
acre,
acres.
1 acre would, you
It's
wouldn't
always
be able to
1.5.
build on just 1
1.5
acre.
is the minimum.
So 1.5 is your minimum, and it's 10 units per acre. So on a 1.5 acre, you could get a maximum of 15 units,
Yeah,
right?
I just want to make that
That-
clear because
right.
people are watching.
And so what people should be clear is that what size lot could that be? So if you have a 1.5 acre parcel and somebody's building 15 units, that each particular parcel could be 6,000 square foot, right?
So if
Now,
you wanted 90.
subdivided it, but you
If
probably
you wanted
don't.
90 units, you would need how many acres?
90?
Just if,
Oh,
Can't.
I need a
There's
calculator.
Max at
I don't,
35.
it's a max of
Even if you have 10
35.
acres, you can only do 35 units.
I just want to make it a point because there's
Oh,
another,
I'm sorry, yeah.
there's another unit who has 87.
So this, by
Yeah.
landing
On
this,
17
35
acres.
is your max. Just had a thought that left my head. But yeah, I mean, we have a unit that we're working on now that the lot size is 4,000 square foot, and we're building a little small 800 square foot starter home for somebody. So, if you have a smaller lot and we're putting units on it, the intent is these would be starter homes for somebody. They would be smaller homes,
Or
that
something for the seniors.
same kind of thing, right? So the project we're doing at the Easterner is little, small cottages, 600 square feet for seniors. And that's a perfect, one story, perfect for seniors, 1 bedroom, home for them, private, it's nice and private.
And it's a great need for that. People don't realize that.
Yep.
Yeah, you just have to be conscious of the health department regulations. And like-
That's what I was gonna mention.
Yeah, you're not gonna get,
Everything's controlled by the health department.
unless a lot is single and separate, you're not gonna be able to build on
Most of your
a
bedroom
small
counts
lot
will
like a
be- Going
4,000.
to be tied to density and days, your day consumption. That's all health department. So you probably, in some of these cases, would not be able to get 3-bedroom units on a 35-unit project.
If you're going,
You just wouldn't be able to have enough density to do so.
if you're going under a half acre, you're gonna need a batch system or something if you're gonna go
Then you
less
get to
than
an
a
IA
unit
system,
per
and
half
that's
acre.
something different. You have other setback issues and concerns with an IA system, putting it on a smaller lot. So
You
it's
may have a
not that
situation,
easy.
you may have a grandfathered lot if it's a couple, you might find a lot that's been a separate tax lot since 1981, because that's the cutoff for the Article 6. So if you have something that was it was a tax lot previous to 1981, like the example you're saying in the 4,000, you might be able to build on something like that if it's pre-1981 tax lot, but you still probably need Board of Review, and it's gonna be difficult.
And it's gonna be difficult.
Yes.
And you're gonna have to find a ton of TDRs.
Yeah, right. Well, if you had TDRs, then you might be better off, but, But if you do a batch system, something, then you can address that, but that's on a bigger project.
Okay, F is about, just being in, remain in perpetuity. the affordability provisions in chapter 216. G is traffic access. Here's another, like, this is, it used to say properties within affordable housing fund overlay shall have direct frontage on a town road, so I kind of just took the same words, but it should really say frontage on a public street.
Because otherwise, you're saying no county
Yeah,
or
it couldn't
state
be
road?
anywhere, and that would be not good. That would cut
State
out
road
like
or-
almost half more than the roads. It should just say frontage on a public street. And the purpose of this provision is so that you're not having these developments on like private roads that aren't plowed. You know, we want to have them on public streets with oversight. So that would just be another change that I would recommend. It should, so it should say direct frontage on on public street.
Public road.
Architectural style. So it shall, all SHOD developments shall adhere to the core principles of balance, proportion, rhythm, and relationships between components, as well as high-quality materials and sustainable features.
Could we put a reference to the Hamlet plans?
Yes, so it says the architectural vernacular of the closest hamlet heritage area. So those are adopted areas in our code.
Could we reference the specific Hamlet plans as being a reference point?
It is, that is what it is, right?
Well, it doesn't say the Hamlet plans, it
says-
says Hamlet Heritage Area.
Well,
Is that what the Hamlet studies are called?
yeah.
What?
And they have a little, they're called Hamlet Heritage Areas, or similarly designated area. So like in terms, you want like me to say Bridgehampton Historic District or something. So that would be a similarly
Part of the
designated.
comprehensive plan, I thought they were called, specific,
Heritage areas.
yeah, I thought they were like the Hamlet studies or Hamlet plans, but,
Well, this was about historical, so this is just the Hamlet Heritage Area is talking historical. But
historical.
Hamlet, I can just fix this to say, the architectural vernacular of the closest Hamlet heritage area or similarly designated area, if any, shall be referenced to provide an understanding of the established historical style of the area. And
Okay.
then add to it, pattern books or other.
yeah, I'd like that in.
Hamlet studies shall
Correct.
also be referenced, or something like that,
Perfect,
right?
perfect. Just so it's,
Sorry,
just so it's comprehensive.
Sure. Or other adopted Hamlet studies shall also be referenced. Then it says, where practicable, buildings shall simulate the mass, size, and style of missing middle housing, and then we say that is defined, so we don't have to sit here and write the published author and everything. And it's basically by house scale buildings having multiple units within a building, so you can have a building that looks like a single-family home and have like two apartments in it, or up to 4 probably, the most, right? So we want house scale, so it feels and looks like,
Like our manor homes.
yeah,
Yeah.
like a manor home,
Cool.
which is what we did in Sandy Hollow. Depending on the setting, a development plan may include, now here, I got a couple of questions. Residential structures, this was Sandy Hollow, that looked like a barn or other building typologies found appropriate. In other words, when we did that Sandy Hollow barn thing, there was some people that are like, what are you talking about? But it worked, and it really is cool, and so, you know, it's just the idea, like,
Have
if
to be a
you're
very
near
nice community.
Bridgehampton, and you're near a farm, and we can have that same typology that looks fitting for an agricultural context, that's what we mean by this, like something like that.
I think that's important.
And then just following the design rules, repetition of forms, simple, proportional, recurring pattern of sizes, shapes, and colors, so you're not, you know, a hodgepodge, basically. Consistent spacing, this is what we take, this is kind of out of our pattern books. You know, we like things to be spaced at regular intervals, it's rhythmic, and structural,
So
you know.
let me ask you something. So who reviews this once?
Planning.
The plan, so this will go back to planning once, okay.
This, as part of your process, we review it, you know, it goes
Yeah.
to the planning board.
So you'll make sure that they're fitting through all the criteria that's
Yeah,
listed here.
Absolutely. Parking, we just have the regular parking requirements, a recreation area, they have to include, you know, a central green, community gardens, a similar outdoor amenity, gazebo, you know, something
Do
like
all the
that.
projects that we have now include that
They have some
recreational
kind of
area?
Outdoor amenity,
Common space, yeah.
yeah.
What does that mean, common space?
Like I
A
said,
hallway?
I'm sorry?
No, outside the building, on the grounds.
Common space.
Like a sitting
gathering
area.
Courtyard.
But
Courtyard of
for
the-
most, also because all of our units going forward are non-smoking units, so you have to create a designated area for those that do smoke. So you strategically have to place sections of
Yeah.
places in, or areas of our community for gathering, for smoking, for anything else.
So it's
Have
basically
to
any
do
kind of
that.
outdoor
You have to
amenity.
provide an area for smoking.
You don't have a, or they'll smoke in your unit, which obviously
Yeah.
violates the policy. But if you're getting, especially if you're getting any type of funding, you do have to create a recreational area for them to be.
Okay.
Plus, you don't want
Does
to
that have to
put
be
the
like
area
500
next to the
feet from the
house.
building?
Has to
And
be
this is your funding, so you're requiring a recreation area for your money, for the CHF money.
Yeah, I just didn't know if we had done that with the previously approved.
Yeah,
Projects.
so Watermill has a nice, open area, big open area for
People throw the ball
gathering,
around,
whatever, yeah, exactly, yep.
have a catch.
Yeah. In Spion Commons, we have it, and they put like a Christmas tree in there, something
We have
like that.
patios and,
Private outdoor space gets into like having a little bit of your own little terrace or patio, or, your own little private
Very well.
back door area. Individual unit access, you may have, remember I sent around kind of like successes of Sandy Hollow and Spionk, and those were because, they're very successful because they have private entrances, so you're not having these like kind of common hallways, unless you're in, one single family looking home and you have, but each person has their own door and stuff like that. That's what this is all about.
One of the things in here lists storage space, and we had a discussion yesterday with the CHF advisory board. Curtis was there presenting an application. And with all of the housing authority projects, they make sure that there's adequate storage space for people, to store their stuff, because you said it to the board yesterday that you get the calls if people are putting a lot of junk outside their house, so.
bicycles, and we have some certain people that like to go to yard sales and just collect.
Yeah,
And so,
I know people that do.
you also have to be cognizant and say, hey, look, you have to get rid of some of the stuff. But you bring your patio furniture in from the winter. You should have that's the area for people to be able to store that. The Christmas ornaments and stuff in and out.
Then just gets into sort of universal design, and that you'll also, the last part is under O, that you're still gonna look at, like, the need for this. The nature of that, this is going to fulfill the need, we do need this, this is correct, it's appropriate, the site, the environmental suitability, we're not, taking down the pine barrens to do this or something like that. And the development, design, and use of land assures the proposed density fits within the character of the community and the overall pattern and equitable distribution of units across the entire town, with a specific emphasis on the east side. Because that's always sort of something that we hear is like, it's always west, and it's never east, so we're gonna, you'll be able to now look at it holistically and say, over time,
Oh, yeah, public hearing.
well, we had to on the west side, we need to consider more on the east side, or, just sort of making that more equitable. And then the last bits are just that, the permit fees are obviously waived, it's 100% affordable housing, and you may look at it in a specific example, somebody may say, and I want to ask for water quality for the, sanitary system or something up, and you can look at that at the same time, so you understand the full breadth of the scope of funding being requested. So not 3 months later, you see this come before you and go, wait a minute, why didn't they tell us when we were looking at the whole?
Except we usually have don't we, I don't know if the IA system funding is on a rolling basis or if it's during that grant.
Any
I mean, for
project,
this, it
any
would
town
be-
project or town-sponsored project does not have to follow those schedules.
Yeah, they can put them in.
You can do
We've
that
been
on a
awarded
rolling
few.
basis.
We've been awarded a few on just the Fuji or nitrogen mitigated systems. When it comes to a wastewater treatment plant, that has to be a part of the annual budget for CPF, I would imagine.
Yes, but you don't have to wait for like a grant round whenever it's your thing. Like that was what we established early on, so that town board can do what you want. That's your purview. If you wanted to fund it, you could. And that's everything.
The secret is,
Secra is always, and every time looked at, you would, like we said in the public notice, you would, a notice of intent to assume lead agency. We would assume this is an unlisted action, in most cases, of 35 units or less. But it could, if it's in a critical environmental area, or it has, 10 acres or more being disturbed, or 50 or more parking spaces, these things then kick it into type 1. But it's not type 2, and it's not usually type 1. So most of the time, it'll be unlisted. And then, of course, we'll go through the environmental assessment forms, and you'll make that determination as lead agency.
do
What-
we have to put that in that we're gonna be lead agency?
Yes, it is in there. Yeah, in the notice of hearing, the intent to assume lead agency.
When do you think you need to do a secret analysis of the legislation itself with the approval of the legislation? And then you're gonna do separate secret for each?
Yep. So we looked at that, and a floating zone, you would do it, but as a case by case is when you are really doing the secret, because it's not being applied yet.
So what do we do with the 4 changes? I mean, it's on
In the-
for
in
next
the-
Tuesday, so
in
how
the-
do we get that out there?
In the hearing, we'll go over those changes. I'll distribute like double underlines for those minor changes, so it'll be during the record, while the record is open, and we'll just continue. And then it would have to be in final form on your desks 10 days before any adoption.
Jim, would that have to be renoticed based on the biggest change would be the change to the zoning districts, the R20, the R40. Would that
It's not
require-
in the notice itself, it doesn't say that. You know what I mean?
It's already out, you saying?
Yeah, it's already
It's
out.
already out, but it just says replace sections
You're probably gonna have the one
29.1
hearing
to
on this anyway, right?
29.10.
You don't want to delay have we set this for us?
Yes, it's on Tuesday.
Yeah, no, you can have it now, and then you're gonna probably carry this forward anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it on the record,
Right.
distribute a updated code.
Sure.
In the notice, it just says
Then you're gonna make the amendment
29.1
at the
to
hearing that it's gonna include,
29.10.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. You're not taking an action on that. If you were taking an action on that day, then I would say.
It'll be discussed on the record
Right,
and
right.
with
And you'll carry
whoever's in
over to it.
attendance to hear it, so then, and then carried over so that you could
Yeah,
discuss it further.
yeah.
Any questions or comments or other changes?
No, I mean, as long as you say we don't have to renotice it because of the changes, I mean, if
No,
we
no,
we don't
you're-
close the public hearing.
Right.
Tuesday.
You're gonna talk about the changes, and then you're not gonna
Leave
take
it
an
open for a
action.
second public hearing,
No, you're fine with that.
and
If
then
anyone
close
wants to
that
speak.
second public hearing and vote on it then.
Right,
So if anyone wants to speak or change it, or
absolutely.
we could do it at the public
So
hearing.
there's gonna be other changes suggestions anyway, I'm sure, so you're not taking an action on that.
No, it's not on for,
So I just think that this is, it's terrific. Thank you, Janice, and your department for working on this, because we do have this critical need, and we have not been able to, we have the funds, we've allocated the funds to projects, but we haven't been able to get those projects over on the finish line yet. Some of those projects, due to the zoning, and this will assist in that. Right now, I think I looked at it, there are 53 units that are waiting on the zoning, and
I mean, it's just, well, all right, but they didn't actually put in for the change of zone yet. So,
Yeah.
to say they're waiting, but they didn't apply is,
no, right, yes.
and
there's
then
just no path
also
forward.
an avenue for them to apply
change
at
of
the moment.
zone.
Yeah, but it's
Right.
And
way
then the
more
zoning
cumbersome
variance
and-
for the setback thing. But I understand what you're
Similar
doing. You're
process.
saying let's consolidate the
That's why I'm thinking of-
processes.
Yeah,
But that
with
was-
CHF fund, with those projects that are using CHF funds, so that this way we can get those projects done and really kind of work on, serving that need.
More aggressively.
Yeah.
It affects our ability also to go to the state and county, because now they're saying, well, we
You don't have
like
the
the
zoning.
project, but you don't have zoning, so we have to go to the next
Right,
person.
sure.
And so I lose out on opportunities. We do have some, they're holding right now, obviously the Eastern being one, North Sea Mecox, they're actually holding. But going forward, it's just gonna be, if you don't have zoning, don't even submit the application.
Janice, do we have an idea what the maximum density build-out if we were going to? Have we done an analysis of
Do,
what
because
what
it's,
lands?
you know, that's like saying, you know, we have some other floating zones and they're never used, so it sits there until, it's used.
Yeah, no,
The maximum is 35 per, you know, or 10 per acre.
and we don't. It's hard to identify which properties this could
We
be.
don't know who's gonna come in, so it's very difficult, but of course, the analysis requires this equitable distribution, this hard look.
Take out all of the CPF and
No, but-
county lands and.
Yeah, sure, you can.
It is on for planning board today, right, Claire?
Yes.
So the
I was just
planning
curious
board
if there was a
will
way
weigh in
to-
on the
They have this
recommendation.
already, even though we're changing it?
Public hearing, notice a public hearing. As
Your
soon as you have a
hearings
notice of
refer
public
it.
Hearing, we get the referral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The clerk is directed to
The
refer
planning
it when
board
you
should
put it on for a hearing.
I
and
know,
they
see,
get it.
that's why we need to have the work sessions first, make the changes, and then put it on, because now the
That's okay.
planning
Claire can
board
tell
is
the planning
looking
board.
at something, and
That's why Claire's
You
here, so
know,
she
they
can go to
might
the planning
say-
board and tell them what changes we made.
Yeah.
you
Oh,
tell
yeah.
them what changes.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I just had one question, though, because you brought up a good point of the process, the ones that are already funded and in the pipeline, they don't start the process over, right? We just continue from what we've done.
They would have to get those CHOD applied on the parcels through this, if you enact this code, then.
What I'm
those
saying
would
is they've
come.
already gone to the
already
housing
gotten
fund, they've already gotten the funding.
They don't have to start and get the funding already. They've
No,
already
but
gotten the
this is
funding.
the
But they have to-
zoning that goes
They
hand
need
in
the
hand
zoning.
with that funding.
Okay, yep,
So
So
they
what
would
I'm saying
be
is they're not
eligible.
precluded because they've already started the process.
correct, right.
No,
right.
you know, they would be now eligible
Okay.
if this goes through. If it doesn't, then, you let me know what else we can do, because I'm out of ideas.
Wayne, are you here to say anything in particular?
Well, I'm here on behalf of Curtis's
Oh,
group.
okay.
They retained our firm to assist them in making all these applications. And interestingly, we've been working the last 6 months, but for example, North Sea Mecox. The problem is there's no zoning that fits. And so what you were directing them to do is MF 44, which really doesn't fit for the property. And in particular, if you rezone that property to MF 44, problem is the plan, the MF 44 district has 50-foot side yard setbacks, which that project wouldn't be able to comply with. So you would be asked to rezone that property to something where our project wouldn't even fit, and we'd have to go to the zoning board. So we were preparing all these applications, and then Janice says, time out. There may be an avenue, which I've encouraged this. I think this, you had flexibility in the PDD process, and that was an animal, but then absent that, you have only these categories in which you have to fit these projects in. And none of them are, exact. So this gives you the flexibility, and as has all been said, is you're getting that, you're looking at these projects twofold. One is funding, and then the zoning, and you keeping all the discretion at your fingertips. This is only giving you a tool to make it happen. And I've encouraged this, they've asked me to comment, I've talked in the comments that you heard, some of the changes we've discussed, I think they're all appropriate. And I think this is a tool you need. And this is a limited tool. This isn't a PDD, which can be community benefits and amenities. This is specifically your funding housing.
It's limited to the 35 units too, which does limit.
And my first comment to them was, why would you tie the town board's hands? Why would you put any restrictions on yourself, give you the most flexibility in this because you're gonna determine that, hey, this is a housing project that we're gonna fund. We wanna have the most flexibility. So for example, the 35 units, you're saying, well, what if it's 40 units?
Yeah. Well, if
I understand why, and there's another element to this, is you, and that goes to what Jim was talking about. Where are these projects going to go? You have to sort of have some assurance and direction for the community that all of a sudden a 100-unit project isn't gonna show up in the middle of a, residential neighborhood where.
What I was thinking,
out of
in order to help streamline the process, if there was a way to identify the potential build-out and whatnot, if you could Almost
That would
do a
actually
GIS
make it
here.
harder and not streamline it
Yeah,
and delay.
to do a GIS.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's necessary.
I just think too, I think capping it to 35 at least to start gives the community, lets them see some projects that we're doing, get the feel for where we're putting them and how we're handling them, and then say, you know what, okay, maybe we would be okay with 40 or 50 on a 5-acre
Well,
piece, or,
go through the
you
zoning
know.
process. You can do,
Yeah.
you can still doesn't, you
So
can, if you go over
remember the
35,
reason-
you're gonna go through the typical zoning process.
Yeah, I mean, remember the reason, we go back to the real reason, we're doing this is because these smaller projects need CHF funding, right? They, to be able to get them done. They, a larger developer is, who wants to build many, many units,
Gonna have a harder time getting
Doesn't
through
need
the
our funding.
process.
right.
Yeah, you have a totally different process for
The
that.
idea here is to just keep it minimal and start out and use your CHF money wisely, placing it the way you think it should be done, and then out of that, we can revisit it. You can say, there's only gonna be allowed so many per year, or we're only, there's only so much funding in the first place. So, and we're also using that funding to help people with down payments, to help people with their rent, to help other things, right? So it's not unlimited, because there's not unlimited funding. So that's a natural limitation right there.
I
And
was
so we
gonna say,
don't
the
have
best
to get
part of
into
this
all
is-
the what ifs. We're just starting small and reasonable. And the later what ifs are later what ifs, but they're not now.
Look at it.
Come back and look at
From my
it.
experience, so far with the Community Housing Fund, because we're able to have that additional funding to cover the acquisition, it's easier now to meet that need of 30 units, 30, 35 units. Whereas when we did Sandy and Spionk, where we were looking at literally about 5 or 6 different funding sources just to come up and discover the gap, we're holding on to debt service on top of that. So it makes it difficult to keep the units affordable. That's why they said the rents are higher than they should have been. Well, now we have the means because we're keeping debt services lower, and we're able to have fewer number of units and be able to actually execute on keeping it an affordable housing project.
And the key element is the health department. You're totally different. You're more able to meet it with individual IA systems as opposed to sewage treatment and that density issue. But the best part about this is you got 4 projects right now that this board has worked with the community on. And we just need to get the zoning in place.
That's
And they're gonna,
important.
as soon as you adopt this, you're gonna see applications come in for those 4 projects and go through the hearing process. As you said before, they've already done sort of the first steps. In a couple of cases, they had pre-submissions, so they can actually go to the final application stage. But the community will see how you're using them for projects that you already have the community support for.
Yeah. The only thing that concerns me a little is that when we heard about the projects, do they qualify for the housing fund? Do we want to provide funding? We were looking big picture. What do the houses look like? How many people, would it fit with the neighborhood? I know for myself, I never zeroed in on what exactly is the variance that's going to be needed for the lot line. And I just thought somebody else was going to look at that. And now we'll look at it, I suppose, with the new application, because it could be, if someone said, now you have a 3 foot off the property line instead of 50, we might have said, I don't think we should do that, but we didn't even look at that because it was going to go to the ZBA if needed.
Well, that just happened to be that one case, but I think you looked at the concept plan. That's what this is all about, is you're looking at the concept plan, you're gonna determine, are these setbacks appropriate in that particular zone that.
Now we will, but
90
before, when we looked at the money, we didn't look at that level of detail.
Well, it's because I
Someone
don't
else
think
was
you were
gonna do
looking
it.
at what would be the ultimate zoning. And there was some different options that were put in the report at that time, so I don't want to dwell on that, but the key about that is you're in the R20 zone and you could have 20-foot side yards. And the project has 25-foot side yards, but not 50 for what you would have as a future zoning district that we had to find to make it work. And the only one was MF 44, so you're eliminating that. Going back to what you did in the first instance, you looked at this site plan, it's consistent with the neighborhood, the setbacks all comply, and you'll be able to approve that preliminary development plan, which you did, which is consistent, and now we don't have to create a district that needs variances after the fact. You're doing all that up front.
It still has to go through planning board.
But you did
Oh, yeah.
review, you did review placement and rhythm of the structures to make sure there was spacing. You did review that, and part of that comment during the hearing was, it looks like a typical cul-de-sac. It looks like a typical community. So there was some comments, and you did take into consideration what the homes would look like as they were being built.
But if they, all right, so if the setbacks, you're saying they comply with the zoning and the underlying
The underlying
zoning.
zoning, but you were gonna be asking for a zone change
Yeah.
that had a larger requirement, which to me would only totally confuse the community, like, why are they asking for variances? It would have been, and it was just a procedural thing, and also time and money and whatever, but I think
Money.
this, if you're not happy with the concept plan up front, it's not going anywhere. You got two parts. One, are we funding this, but also, is this a plan that's gonna work? And that's with your input from the community and everybody else in the first instance, and if it doesn't get past that smell test, you don't get to the next part. Anyway, that was my 2 cents. I didn't appear on Tuesday, and on behalf of Curtis's group, also make
Okay.
a comment in the record to support this.
Yeah, well, I like it. I think you did a great job, and I appreciate that, and I'm comfortable with it, with the.
It's an interesting concept.
Just know the villages are looking at this too. So I know Sac Harbor,
Right.
a representative from Sac Harbor was at this community housing fund meeting yesterday. I know the village here looking at ways to try to create a streamlined process to create more affordable housing. So this really will be kind of the stepping stone for other hamlets to be able to utilize.
I think East Hampton Town has something in
They
place.
have, yeah, they've already-
Yeah,
they've-
yeah.
Yeah, but I should tell you that with regard to CHF, really Southampton is the leader in CHF. And all the time, my office is getting calls from Southold, from East Hampton, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? So, should be proud of the fact that, we are the leader. All the other townships that are part of CHF are looking to us as to how to, move forward with their projects and get things done. I had a call yesterday with East Hampton about our ADU program. Just all the time I got an email this morning from Southold about, how are you doing this? So we are the leader, and it would be great to show, all right, look at all these projects that we got done now. So.
Yeah, well, we got a good team. Thank you all for your
Thank
good
you,
work on
everybody.
this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Curtis.
Just know, Maple Avenue is 75% done. Floors are in, countertops are
That's good.
done. Right now, they're in process of painting, so hopefully we'll have a walkthrough with everyone.
Oh, good.
Really is cute.
It's really great.
Really is cute.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
All right, that brings us to our updates. Where did we start last time? I don't remember.
You started with Rick. I will start and I will pass, because,
We gotta get going.
yeah.
I'll try to make it quick then.
Very,
Very,
be very long.
we had our Dark Skies Committee meeting, very, very good. Olivia Mach and Sheila Pfeiffer everybody's putting their heads together about forthcoming events for the community to, raise awareness of our Dark Skies laws, but also, raise awareness of the importance of why Dark Skies is important for our local environment. So I will have some news about that coming up. I want to also give a shout out to Chris Teakle and the Southampton Animal Shelter. They had an event the other day at Shippey's where they talked to the community about some of their upcoming community programs. They're going to be doing a lot of community forward events, things that are very focused on working with our schools, teaching students, working with our veterans. In fact, Cindy and I met with the animal shelter and Jamie Bowden, and we're planning on doing something with the veterans very soon. Also, we had a meeting with County DPW, Legislator Welker, Mayor Fiore, Highway Superintendent McCardle, to talk about the traffic circle that the Noyak civic community would like to see at Noyak and Long Beach. I'm pleased to report that the county is going to request a feasibility study be added to the 2026 budget to look at
Oh,
whether or not they can do
fantastic.
that. I think that's a good step forward. I mean, previously they were saying no, so now we're going to look into it. So I think that's a really great testament to the work of DPW and Charlie Bartha. So we appreciate that. And finally, I just want to say, I think you have until December 12th, if I'm not mistaken, to drop off a toy at Assemblyman Scavoni's office. He's collecting Toys for Tots, so feel free to go and drop off a toy.
I actually do have one thing that's time sensitive.
All right.
Next Tuesday, the 25th at 3 p.m., before our town board meeting, we will be having a ribbon cutting at the Maritime Exercise Trail.
Oh, right, that's right. Good point. And thank you for going to that meeting. I can't believe I had to miss that, about the traffic circle. So I'm glad it turned out well.
You were, actually, you were at another meeting, very important meeting.
Well, yeah, that might have been a different one, but thank you. I'll just say, we had a meeting with the Jackson Avenue consultants, and I'm so pleased to say that on I think it's December 4th, that work session, they're gonna come in and present to the board, and we'll go through it, and it's pretty exciting. So I'm looking forward to that. Oh, and we met with Tom Iden from Hamptons.com, Councilwoman McNamara and I and some others, and just that he wants to expand the program. Now the cameras are at the beaches, that he wants to put them in the parks and on the main streets.
I think it's a great idea.
And yeah, I think it's good for a lot of different reasons, just to see what's happening and also for
Public safety.
Public safety, exactly.
Oh, everyone's been talking about the traffic going home the last couple of nights. I spoke to the Highway Superintendent, Charles, and his deputy, Mark, the last few mornings and at night, and one plan did not work. They modified it, it did not work, and now they're modifying it again tonight, and hopefully it's a little bit better. Every night's getting a little bit better.
Yeah, we gotta just keep
But
tweaking
the
it.
first couple nights were really bad. And they
Tell me about
apologized.
it.
They apologized for it, but they have to try it,
Yeah.
and they learn from their mistakes. And hopefully tonight and tomorrow night, it's gonna be a lot better.
Good.
Yeah, they were out there moving stuff mid-cycle. I mean, I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah,
And I want to say, all the men who are, doing it, thank you for doing it. It's cold out there, and, it's like, it's
something-
dangerous because people are very mad, and they're not getting, I went to Hampton Bays because I wanted to try it, so I left my house in North Sea, and I got to King Kellum, or the nutrition program. Took me 20 minutes at 6:15, so
good.
I thought that was really good. It took me 17 minutes to get home. So I was like really pleased. So,
all right.
That's
Well,
it.
let's hope it keeps getting
And
better. I'm sure they'll keep
I would just
tweaking
add to
it.
Bill's comments and say that it's something that the highway department doesn't have to do, but they're doing it because they care about the community, so,
he cares.
yeah.
And there's, after the last 30 years where they should have did something and they, no one really did anything, they're trying.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you.
So I know over the last couple of years, we've given quite a bit of money to the West Hampton PAC, and Saturday night, they actually gave one of our community givebacks, and they had a concert, Warrior Rock for the veterans locally, where they honor a bunch of veterans. They get to get up on the big screen and tell a little bit about their service and what they're doing now. It was a very well-attended, great concert. Three of my locals from the American Legion, Thomas Quinn, Jackie McKay, and David Agosturibe were three of the people that they focused on. And our chief was there to basically say a little bit about first responders and how, we take care of them in our community also, as well as the chief of police from Quogue, Mr. Isola, talking about the ambulance districts. So it was a nice night, and it was very inexpensive comparatively to what they do there. So it was a great night
Yeah.
for the community.
Good. Anybody have anything else they want to add?
Where's the express sessions today?
It's at Cowfish. That's right. We're going over there. We're going to talk about Hampton Bays.
All things Hampton Bays.
All things Hampton Bays. So if there's nothing else. Then,
Some things not entirely Hampton Bays, I guess.
All right, so I move to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.